प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे शिल प्रभुपाद की जय। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। Srila Prabhupada ki jai ho. So we're going to read today chapter number 20, but briefly going over our discussion from the previous chapters. We will try to revise what we did before, and then we'll go to our discussion for today. So what we have seen so far is Prabhupada's struggle in Lower Bowery, and then Prabhupada moving from Lower Bowery to the Second Avenue, Matchless Gift Shop, where 26 Second Avenue, where Prabhupada ji had a storefront, and then there was an apartment at the back. Prabhupada ji used to stay in the apartment, cooking used to happen in the apartment, and Prabhupada ji used to give the classes in the storefront, thrice a week Bhagavad Gita classes, and lots of devotees who joined at that time were some of the visitors from Lower Bowery area who used to come there, and some from the classes of yoga classes of Dr. Mishra's place where Srila Prabhupada was there. And then Srila Prabhupada on second Janmashtami, on the first Janmashtami was on Jaladuta, and second Janmashtami after that was on in 1966, where Srila Prabhupada was in the 26 Second Avenue, and at that time Srila Prabhupada gave the initiation, the first initiation ever in ISKCON was on Janmashtami, September 8th, a year after celebrating his first Janmashtami on Jaladuta. So next was the Srila Prabhupada then planned initiation on this particular day, and quite a few devotees got initiated, and their names were some of the famous names like Howard became Hayagriva, then Wally became Umapati, Bill became Ravindra Swarup, Carl was Karlpati, James became Jagannath, Mike became Mukunda, Jane became Janki, Roy became Rai Ramananda, Stanley becomes Strayadrisha, and like that, and some other devotees also joined, and Srila Prabhupada initiated for the first time in North America. And then following the initiation, 2 days after, there was a wedding ceremony. First ISKCON wedding ceremony between Mukunda and Janaki, and Srila Prabhupada, they were friends, and Srila Prabhupada requested them to get married. So then Mukunda and Janaki got married, and Srila Prabhupada officiated their wedding. This was the first ever wedding ceremony conducted in ISKCON. And then here is Srila Prabhupada with Mukunda and Janaki's little daughter Saraswati. Very famous couple, and we'll learn more about them. So now today we are going to learn about some more interesting aspects of Srila Prabhupada's life, and the chapter is titled as Stay High Forever. It's a very interesting chapter, and the word "stay high forever" is from the LSD generation. Lots of attendees who were coming to lectures of Srila Prabhupada or Kirtan of Srila Prabhupada were taking drugs, and at that time the drug LSD was quite common actually. So they were getting high. They were getting high on the drug. So it's a very interesting chapter. We're going to learn about how Srila Prabhupada put them high forever. So here is one extract from a newspaper. This is the East Village Other. This is the name of the newspaper that was published in October 1966. And this mentions about how Prabhupada introduced Krishna consciousness to those hippies, what type of people were attending. So here is the extract from that. This is the starting of this chapter. So Vidura Prabhu, you want to read this?
Sure, Prabhuji. While this was going on, an old man, 1 year past his allotted 70, wandered into New York's East Village and set about to prove to the world that he knew where God could be found. In only 3 months, the man Swami A.C. Bhaktivedant succeeded in convincing the world's toughest audience, bohemians, acid heads, potheads, and hippies, that he knew the way to God. Turn off, sing out, and fall in. This new brand of holy man, with all due deference to Dr. Leary, has come forth with a brand of consciousness expansion that's sweeter than acid, cheaper than pot, and non-bustable by fuss. How is all this possible? Through Krishna, Swami says,
Hare
from the
Krishna.
east to the other. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. This was published in nine. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. This was published in October 1966, and it uses some of the languages of hippies. He says he knew the way to God, turn off, sign out, and fall in. You see, these are some of the languages which the hippies used to use. And turn off. Turn off means how to switch off from one drug to another. Then sign out. Stop the drugs and fall into something else. So some of the words are used here, and how Srila Prabhupada helped those hippies. This is chapter all about how Srila Prabhupada helped those drug addicts to get into Krishna consciousness. Very interesting chapter. So here is some of the pictures of Srila Prabhupada in 1966. Prabhupada is healthy at this time. He's energetic. He's into his 70s, and he's tirelessly working, right, with very little rest in this time. He is giving classes in the storefront. He's conducting kirtans, and he's writing and translating his books, and he's also drumming at that time. Prabhupada never had a mridangam, but he's using that big drum, and then he's also cooking for everybody, right? And cooking and feeding maybe hundreds of people every week. And he's going for a walk. He's distributing the books. He's looking after these hippies who are, some of them are staying with him in the storefront, and making sure that they don't create any nuisance there. And he's guiding them. And he's not slowing down, actually. He's in 70 years old man. He is working tirelessly, and those young people who are joining him, and those who just got initiated, they are also not concerned about the health of Srila Prabhupada, because they think that, oh, he's there to inspire them. He's just like one of them, right? So they just got friends with him, and they are just inspired with Srila Prabhupada's behavior and attitude. So those are the happy days, Srila Prabhupada describes. It's described in the Lilamrita that here Srila Prabhupada has established all this 26th Avenue, where it's like almost a ashram or a full temple with the ashram there in the back, where he used to stay with other devotees, and he has initiated the people into Krishna consciousness. Now he has a community. It's not Prabhupada who came alone, struggling. Now he has people to work with him. He faced a lot of challenges in the beginning. Never got any support from his god brothers in India. He requested the donations. Oh, something happened. He requested the donations from his well-wishers, businessmen in India, government assistance, but nothing helped. But despite all these challenges, Prabhupada could achieve something through his independent efforts. So Prabhupada described this as happy days, feeling very grateful to Lord Shri Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada is saying that Krishna sent me this man and money after so many years of struggle, right? So Prabhupada is happy at the age 70, 71 now. His happiness is not the happiness of retirement. Usually, typical retirement, people get some money from the retirement and they are happy with that. But that is not the type of happiness Srila Prabhupada has. So here, the Prabhupada happiness is what type of happiness it is. So this happiness reflects the ambition actually. Prabhupada has achieved something. It reflects some sort of a youthfulness in Srila Prabhupada. And his happiness here of Srila Prabhupada is that he is able to get young people who are growing in the spirituality. His happiness is that his preaching is effective and his preaching is gaining traction. His happiness is just like described in this chapter as that of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's joy while Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra and traveling in South India. So Prabhupada has this joy and happiness of his experience of fulfillment as a selfless servant of Lord Shri Krishna, focusing on giving the devotional service or instilling bhakti into others. So this is his joy, and he's finding satisfaction in planting the seed of devotion as well as training individuals in chanting and spreading Krishna consciousness. So here, Srila Prabhupada is very happy these days. This is described in the chapter as happy days. Now, Srila Prabhupada also has some greed. And what is this greed? So Prabhupada has a greed of a Vaishnava. He has a strong desire to expand ISKCON after the initial initiation and first marriage. So his ambition is described in this chapter as a greed of the Vaishnava, focusing on advancing Krishna consciousness mission rather than his personal sense gratification. And he was aiming to grow his Krishna consciousness movement from small beginning to a very big dream he had. Like this is described in this chapter as go like a needle and come out like a plow, which means in the beginning have a small dream, like a very small ambition, and then grow it to the significant proportion so that everybody can be part of it, like a society as part. Usually Prabhupada's mission was to expand the Krishna consciousness across the globe for the humanity at large. That was his mission, right? So he was not satisfied with his success at 26 Second Avenue because he wanted to do it more actually. So he was dreaming to increase the outreach of ISKCON as far as possible. And he had written this in this ISKCON charter to achieve real unity and peace in the world within the members and humanity at large. So that was the dream of Srila Prabhupada. So he had a dream, he had a greed, he had a plan, he had an ambition. He was not just satisfied with whatever he had achieved in 26 Second Avenue. Here is an extract by Ravindra Swarup Prabhu about Srila Prabhupada's ambition here. So maybe Venkata Prabhu, you want to read?
Ravindra Swarupa. He never made a secret of what he was doing. He used to say, I want everybody to know what we are doing. Then one day, D-Day came. He said, we are going to chant in Washington. Everybody was scared. You just don't go to the farm and chant. It seemed like a weird thing to do, but he assured us, saying, you won't be afraid when you start chanting. Krishna will help you. And so we rushed down to Washington Square Park, but we were very upset about it. Up until that time, we were not exposing ourselves. I was upset about it, and I know that several other people were to be making a public figure of yourself.
Thank you, Rohit. Thank you so much. So here is the Prabhupada's ambition to have a public kirtan, right? So this is the first public Sankirtan Srila Prabhupada planned. And Prabhupada wanted to take everybody for a Sankirtan at Washington Square Park. So he said one Sunday morning to everybody, let's go to Washington Square Park and do a kirtan there. Now, everybody was like, thinking that, oh, it's a very awkward thing to do kirtan in the public place, right? Still, also some of our devotees are also nowadays also people are a little bit, they feel awkward when do the kirtan or distribute the books or like that on the streets. And that was the feeling of many of those people who were with Srila Prabhupada at that time. So Prabhupada never felt like that. So Prabhupada said, let's go everybody for the kirtan. And then it was like worried. And Prabhupada said, don't worry, once you start chanting, then Krishna will help you, right? So everybody went with Srila Prabhupada in the Washington Square Park. And this is in New York, actually, not in Washington. The name of the park is Washington Square Park, but this is in New York, right? And then everybody, like the group included young man, all these hippies, and they are chanting, and the people are reacting. Some people even they called the names to the people, to the devotees who were chanting there, and some people were laughing and like that. But this was like a powerful, very important movement uh, in the history of ISKCON. This was like a first public chanting in America, and this reflected Srila Prabhupada's ambition to spread Krishna consciousness. When Srila Prabhupada came to America, he first stayed in Pennsylvania at Butler with Agarwal's family. And Agarwal's thought that Prabhupada has just come here without any big plan. He just wanted to be like writing his books, probably. That's what they thought. But he didn't want to be noticeable at that time. But now Prabhupada was creating like waves in the society, in the community by doing this public kirtan. So everybody walking around was watching them. So here is one experience by Jagannath, Jonathan, who became Jagannath, and here's the experience. Sujata Mataji, you want to read this?
Yes, Jagannath, it was a marvelous thing, a marvelous experience that Swamiji brought upon me, because it's opened me a great deal, and I overcame a certain shyness the first time to chant out in the middle of everything.
Yeah. So it was first time for the devotees to chant in the public, and they were shy a little bit. So Prabhupada is chanting, all these young hippies are chanting, and crowd is gathered around to watch the public chanting event led by Srila Prabhupada. And then there came two policemen at that time, and there was a sign that they were sitting on a grass there. Prabhupada and all these devotees are sitting on a grass and they are chanting there. So the two police officers came and they said, "Oh, there is a sign there which read that uh, uh, keep off the grass." So then Prabhupada raised his eyebrow and he looked at the sign and he then took all the devotees from the grass and chose to sit on the pavement. And then everybody is sitting on the pavement on the Washington Square Park, and then they're sitting around and chanting. So this was about an 1.5 hour chanting, and all the people are standing around and listening to Srila Prabhupada. And this was the first public chanting in American soil, actually. So then after the chanting, then what happened is Srila Prabhupada asked Hayagriva Prabhu to bring the Srimad Bhagavatam and then read aloud. So Hayagriva Prabhu read the passage from the Srimad Bhagavatam, uh, how human society was suffering in the godless civilization and like that. And then Srila Prabhupada gave the Bhagavatam class there in the public there. So this is the first public event in the big scale where like outside, Prabhupada did. And the crowd listened to Srila Prabhupada. And then following this, then they returned to the storefront. And everybody was happy, very ecstatic, and they have like sort of a broken the American silence, so this was like a new type of event they had done, celebrated. So this was, and then following this, then uh, Srila Prabhupada asked his followers uh, to distribute some flyers around the neighborhood. So this was the flyer distributed, which read as follows. Mamtaji, you want to read the flyer here? Srila Prabhupada reads these flyers quite often, actually.
Yes, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Practice the transcendental sound vibration. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. This chanting will cleanse the dust from the mirror of the minds. International Society for Krishna Consciousness, meeting at 7 a.m. daily, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7 p.m. We are cordially invited to come. You are cordially invited to come and bring your friends. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So this is the flyer where Prabhupada spread the word. Please come every day morning, 7 a.m. and then Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, 7 p.m. in the evenings where Prabhupada gave Gita class, Bhagavad Gita class. So these flyers were distributed, and this flyer reached to a very famous personality who lived in nearby in this 26th Avenue area, and his name was Allen Ginsberg, very famous poet and author, and he was like a spiritual seeker actually, and he was a founding member of literary movement actually, and he was like a champion of human and civil rights. He was a photographer, songwriter, political personality, teacher. So he had quite a multifaceted personality, and this Allen Ginsberg, he had visited India for Kumbh Mela, and he had heard the Hare Krishna Mahamantra chanting in the Kumbh Mela, and he was impressed by the Hare Krishna mantra, and uh, he saw in the Kumbh Mela all the sadhus taking some hookah. They used to take some sort of. They are still like many places. They take some sort of a ganja. This called ganja is like a sort of a marijuana. So he learned that okay, with marijuana and drugs you can experience the spirituality. That was his experience, right? Because he saw this sadhus in Kumbh Mela taking ganja. So he was influenced by that, and then he was promoting this that by taking the drugs like marijuana and others, you can feel spiritually elevated, getting high, like that. So, and then young people were influenced by his views, especially on the Lower East Side of those people who were staying there. So, but then people in the other section of society, like middle class people, they did not appreciate this. But he was more recognized among the people on the Lower East Side. So Allen Ginsberg, very famous personality, and he came to see Srila Prabhupada in one of the mornings. So he came with his friend, and he described Srila Prabhupada as lone hippie. Allen Ginsberg describing Prabhupada as hippie. How did that happen? So here Allen Ginsberg is saying, Bhaktivedanta seemed to have no friends in America, but was alone, totally alone, and gone somewhat like a lone hippie to the nearest refuge, the place where it was cheap enough to rent. And that is where the 26th Avenue, right? So he describes Srila Prabhupada as a lone hippie, and he went by himself, And then further he describes about Srila Prabhupada here. When he visited the 26 Second Avenue, his experience was this, So Alan describes here, Vidura Prabhu, you want to read?
Hare Krishna. Sure. There were a few people sleeping cross-legged on the floor. I think most of them were Lower East Side hippies who had just wandered in off the street with beards and curiosity, and inquisitiveness, and a respect for spiritual presentation of some kind. Some of them were sitting there with glazed eyes, but, but most of them were just like gentlefolk, bearded, hip, and curious. They were refugees from the middle class in the Lower East Side, looking exactly like the street sadhus in India. It was very similar that phase in American underground history, and I liked immediately the idea that Swami Bhaktivedanta had chosen the Lower East Side of New York for his practice. He had gone to the lower depths. He had gone to a spot more like the side streets of Calcutta than any other.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. So here Alan Ginsberg described when he entered the storefront, he and his one of his friend, then they saw this scene that everybody was sitting on the floor, and then the people sitting there had long beard, and he just compared, oh, they were just like a sadhus in India. So when he came, actually, he came there for the kirtan, right? Because it was advertised that Prabhupada will do kirtan there. But when he arrived, there was no Prabhupada ji was still on his apartment, but he came there, and he had brought a harmonium to be given as a gift for this kirtan for the devotees, for the kirtan. So Alan gave this harmonium as a gift to the Hayagriva, and and then Alan shared his experience of chanting Hare Krishna mantra with Hayagriva, and he said that I'm chanting this Hare Krishna mantra for a long time, and he was impressed. And then Srila Prabhupada came, and Alan then, along with his friend Peter, I think his name was, so they joined the chanting the kirtan, and Alan Ginsberg then played the harmonium for Srila Prabhupada there at that time in the kirtan. So sorry. So here, his experience about the kirtan. Venkata Prabhu, you want to read?
Alan, the main thing, above and beyond all our differences, was an aroma of sweetness that he had, a personal, selfless sweetness like a total devotion. And that was what always comforted me. Whatever intellectual questions or doubts I had, or even cynical views of ego, in his presence there was a kind of personal charm coming from dedication that conquered all our conflicts. Even though I didn't agree with him, I always liked to be with him.
Thank you, bro. So Alan Ginsberg and Srila Prabhupada, after the kirtan, they had some discussions. Now, in that, Alan Ginsberg described about the sadhus in India. So then Prabhupada criticized those sadhus in India because they were taking ganja and they were not properly following the bhakti or Vaishnava attitude. So when Alan was respecting those sadhus in India, when he saw them in Kumbh Mela, and Prabhupada ji was talking about them taking drugs and ganja and all, which was not proper. So when Srila Prabhupada criticized them, Alan was really a little bit shocked. But then, so Prabhupada didn't just Alan Ginsberg was very famous. He didn't just pester him. He told him the truth. So there was some difference of opinion, but Srila Prabhupada and Alan Ginsberg had a good communication with each other. And Prabhupada requested him that you give up the smoking and give up the drugs, and if you really want to progress in the spiritual life, take up this chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So that is what Srila Prabhupada requested him. And then at that time, Srila Prabhupada's visa was expiring, Prabhupada has been here in America for almost a year now. And Hayagriva Prabhu requested Alan that we need a lawyer who can who can help Srila Prabhupada to get a visa. So Alan Ginsberg said, yes, I will help. And Alan then donated $200 check to the society at that time for Prabhupada's legal expenses so that Srila Prabhupada can stay there in America. And that's how Alan Ginsberg's experience was described in this chapter. And then after that, this chapter describes the second initiation happening on September 23rd. It was the Radhashtami day, so 15 days after the first initiation. Now is the appearance day of Srimati Radharani, and Srila Prabhupada had second initiation, where he initiated Kit, who became Kirtananda. Kirtananda then was very famous Swami, Kirtananda Swami. You might have heard about him, but we'll talk more about it in the coming chapters. He was the one very instrumental in New Vrindavan in Virginia. And then Steve became Sataswarup. This is Satswarup Das Goswami, who is writing this Prabhupada Lilamrita actually. So that is his name here. Steve, he became Sataswarupa. Bruce became Brahmananda. And Chuck became Achyutananda. It was another festive day with fire sacrifice in Prabhupada's front room and a big feast. So 15 days after this, so Prabhupada had first initiation, then wedding, then Washington Square Park Kirtan, Allen Ginsberg coming, and then within 15 days another initiation happening, and some of the famous people of ISKCON taking initiation here in this second initiation part. So this LSD is quite often discussed in this chapter. And actually, Prabhupada lived in these initial days. Prabhupada's surrounding was drug culture. All the neighborhood was drug culture, where young people sought LSD to alter their consciousness by taking drugs. So this is some of the conversations here between Hayagriva and Srila Prabhupada. Sujata Mataji, you want to read?
Yes, sir. LSD. Harigaiva. Have you ever heard of LSD? It is a psychedelic drug that comes like a pill. And if you take it, you can get religious ecstasies. Do you think this can help my spiritual life? Prabhupada. You don't need to take anything for your spiritual life. Your spiritual life is already here.
Thank you, Mataji. So those times, 1966. You see, this time frame is very important in understanding for our understanding. Is Vietnam War is going on, and all these young people they are frustrated with the war scene. There is employment problems, and somehow or other, this drug culture has developed to such an extent that people thought that, and there was a understanding among the young people that taking drugs will make you spiritual. And there were many papers published actually scientifically also, right? There were people who were spreading this information that LSD is good for your health. This is what was even being spread by the people. So these young people, so-called hippies, who were having long hairs, they were into the drugs actually. So Hayagriva, he asked this question to Srila Prabhupada, that do you think that with the drugs you can become spiritual? So Prabhupada assured them that higher consciousness can be easily achieved by chanting Hare Krishna mantra, and you don't need to take drugs. Because Srila Prabhupada was very familiar with people taking drugs, because in India, as I mentioned, the sadhus used to take ganja, and they used to take ganja for meditation actually. And this sort of getting high on the drugs was not proper. So these hippies who were into LSD, some of them had returned from India to America by understanding that India's spiritual culture was taking drugs. Right? This is what the perception of hippies were. And they were taking drugs to become spiritual. And uh, you see, in the newspapers also at that time, drug-related topics were discussed. And there were many articles published to know variety of drugs available in the newspapers. And even like there were various, what that the games, puzzle games, what is this, crosswords in the newspapers were published for the drugs. And all the different drugs, they used to write down this cross puzzle for the drugs. So it's just like a sort of a promotion of the drugs was going on. And Srila Prabhupada explained to them that, okay, the same experience can be obtained by chanting Hare Krishna mantra. And those hippies actually experienced those higher consciousness through chanting. So Sataswarupa Das Goswami, here he writes here at that time. Venkata Prabhu, you want to read?
I knew Swamiji was in a state of surrounded consciousness, and I was hoping that somehow he could teach the Prashant. In the privacy of his room, I asked him, is there some Dr.Prashant that you can make the big one point? By his answer, I was convinced by own attempts to his spiritual knowledge, only to fall down and to be replaced by a total spiritual life such as Swamiji. I could see he was convinced, and then I was.
Thank you, Roji. So here, Sataswarup Das Goswami, the Sataswarup at that time, he asked that, there is this LSD makes you high, but then you can fall down. So is it possible that you can stay high for a longer time? And Srila Prabhupada said, yes, with the chanting Hare Krishna mantra, you can have the same feeling as the drugs, but for a longer time. So then Prabhupada was convinced about that, and then all Satswarup understood that. Now, as I mentioned, that LSD for self-realization, this was the promotion, propaganda was going on, right? And there's Greg who writes here, says that, Mamtaji, you want to read?
Yes, Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
LSD for self-realization. Great. LSD was like a spiritual drug of the times, and the Swamiji was the only one who dared to speak out against it, saying it was nonsense. It was, I think, that was the first battle he had to conquer in trying to promote his movement on the Lower East Side. Even those who came regularly to the storefront thought that LSD was good.
Yeah, thank you, Mataji. So you see, as I mentioned that there were two famous experiments were conducted by famous people, Timothy Leary and Richard Alpert. They were from Harvard psychology instructors, from Harvard University. And they had published the paper in their professional journals and advocated the use of LSD for self-realization and self-fulfillment. Can you imagine? Like the Harvard professors promoting LSD. So it was like a really, really something that people believed in it, And so then they were later on fired from the Howard University. But then this Timothy Leary, who was later fired from Howard, he went on to become a priest of the LSD, actually. He became the LSD propagate. And he established his own community, which is called LSD Commune. The name of the commune was LSD Commune in Millbrook, New York. So the LSD was very high demand that time. And the first thing Srila Prabhupada had to do as a preacher was to break down this LSD dependency among his followers, right? So it was very challenging for Srila Prabhupada. So there is a question answer session here between Prabhupada and the people from the Millbrook who were the part of the LSD commune. So the question came from those LSD followers. They asked to Srila Prabhupada, they visited storefront of Srila Prabhupada, these LSD commune people, and one of the person asked, but have you ever taken LSD? He's asking to Srila Prabhupada. So it's like a challenge to Srila Prabhupada. So Prabhupada says, no, I have never taken any of these things, not even the cigarette or a tea. So then this person who is taking LSD asked the question to Srila Prabhupada, if you have never taken it, then how can you say what it is? The mill broker looked around, smiling, and two or three even burst out with laughter, and they snapped their fingers, thinking Swami had been checkmate. So Srila Prabhupada says, I have not taken, Prabhupada replied, but my disciples have taken all these things, marijuana, LSD, many things, and they have given them up. You can hear from them. And then Srila Prabhupada asked one of his followers, Hayagriva, can you say something about your experience with LSD? And so Hayagriva stood up and he spoke about this. So here is the Hayagriva saying. So, Vidura Prabhu, you want to read?
Stay high forever. Well, no matter how high you go on LSD, eventually you eventually reach a peak, and then you have to come back down, just like traveling into outer space in a rocket ship. He gave one of Swamiji's familiar examples. Your spacecraft can travel very far away from the Earth for thousands of miles, day after day, but it cannot simply go on traveling and travel. Eventually, it must land. On LSD, we experience going up, but we always have to come down again. That's not spiritual consciousness. When you actually attain spiritual or Krishna consciousness, you stay high because you go to Krishna and you don't have to come down. You can stay high forever.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you. So here, Hayagriva Prabhu explains that when the question was asked to Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada said, I haven't taken the LSD, but my student Hayagriva has taken. Ask him, and Hayagriva says that once you go on drugs, you stay high for some time and then come down. But with the Krishna consciousness, when you chant Hare Krishna mantra and you become Krishna conscious, then you can stay high forever. You never come down. So that is the difference between LSD and the Krishna conscious practice. So Umapati says, Krishna consciousness is so nice, Swamiji. You just get higher and higher and you don't come down. Prabhupada smiled and said, yes, that's right, Umapati. Umapati says, no more coming down. And he was laughing, and then the others also began to laugh, and some clapped their hands, repeating, no more coming down, no more coming down. So higher and higher, so everybody agreed upon Srila Prabhupada's comment. So then they published a new flyer. Now the flyer was stay high forever. So this is the new flyer. And this went out very, very rapidly around among all the hippies. This became very famous actually. So he says, stay high forever, no more coming down, the flyer read. Practice Krishna consciousness, expand your consciousness by practicing the transcendental sound vibration, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. So the flyer went out, and it also included some hippie terms, like turn on and like some of those things, turn off and turn on and like that. So the flyer was for appealing to the people who are taking drugs, actually, when Prabhupada was targeting those people who are taking drugs. It's a very challenging field Prabhupada accepted, actually. And these hippies who came to Srila Prabhupada, they were very, very weird people. And Greg describes the Prabhupada's patience here. Here's the paragraph. Sujata Mataji, you want to read?
Yes, Prabhu. Sit. Great. When these drugs people on the lower side came and talked to Swamiji, he was so patient with them. He was speaking on a philosophy which they had never heard before. When someone takes LSD, they are really into themselves and they don't hear properly when someone talks to them. So Swamiji would make particular points, and they won't understand him. So he would have to make the same point again. He was very patient with these people, but he would not give into their claim that LSD was a bona fide spiritual aid to self-realization.
Thank you, Mataji.
Krishna.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. So all these LSD people are coming to see Bhakti Srila Prabhupada, and when he's saying the people under the influence of LSD are not able to hear him clearly, because they are under the influence. But then Prabhupada had a patience and he could talk to them again, explain them again, and he never accepted that, okay, LSD is good for spiritual realization, which was the common concept at that time. So you see, Prabhupada is dealing with a different kind of people, different kind of experience Srila Prabhupada is having. So we'll pause here for some seconds and we'll see what is your understanding about Srila Prabhupada at this time. So maybe we'll take some comments from each of you. Vidura Prabhu, what do you think about this?
What I want to say is like Krishna has like from the very beginning groomed Prabhupada in different aspects. Like Prabhupada was good in debating. He Krishna provided Prabhupada with a father like Gaur Honde who was particular that he learns mridanga. So like that playing that practice became handy when he was playing drums, and of course the fearlessness nature of Prabhupada came handy when he had to chant in public and giving encouragement. Of course, like in essence, this gave Prabhupada a lot of confidence and uh, like a strong argumentative to uphold himself. Okay, this LSD is bad, and he was strictly following his Guru Maharaj's order that like following the four regulative principles, so one of which includes no intoxication, and he was very determined about it. He was not like flexible, or he was not getting molded. Okay, let me try once or something like that. No means no.
Yes, thank you, Guruji. Thank you. Venkata Prabhu?
So I was thinking about the incident which happened. He asked disciples Washington, right? So go to Washington Park, let's chat. Like even in today's world, like when like somebody asks like go to park, like we hesitate it, and that's a good starting point when you are starting the keep on there. And even though the police came, he just sit on the like the pavement and do the Babakan class. He's in Lower Burr Street also. Like entire society is in the drug, but he's like a lotus flower in the middle of the pond, and he's not affected by that anything water, right? Like lotus flower doesn't affect with the water; it just grows, and it resembles like a moon on the entire stars. That was the Krishna sent that moon gem to this world, right? And he propagated this mission very patiently, very like with all those like devotees, LSDs, like people, right? Yeah, so I think it's a very like fortunate we see one of the Krishna's spark Krishna associate came to this world and teach us how we need to be God consciousness, right? That was I can see Prabhu initial days how he struggled, how he patiently when we get something we puffed up, but that's not Prabhupada's like he has a like broader vision like how to propagate this mission of Krishna consciousness. Yeah.
Thank you, Rohit. Thank you.
I
Sujata
think
Mata.
he just like Prahlad Maharaj, like see everyone to be go back to home, back to Godhead.
Mhm, mhm. Very nice. Sujata Mataji.
Yes, really. I really like the concept that Harigreva said about LSD and Krishna difference between LSD and Krishna consciousness. That if one takes LSD, they can go high and they can come down. But if one take Krishna consciousness, they never come back down. So
Mhm,
that's actually true, Prabhuji. If anybody comes into Krishna consciousness, I don't think anybody can go down again
mhm,
um, practicing like all this process in Krishna consciousness. That's one thing I like it. That's
mhm,
and also Krishna Srila Prabhupada came alone. Now he has like big group of his disciples who is helping him in taking Krishna consciousness all over the world.
mhm.
And now we can see that by the help of those disciples, now the Krishna consciousness is spreading all over the world.
Very nice. Thank you, Mataji. Thank
Yeah.
you so much. Thank you. Mamta Mataji, you want to share?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Yes, as we know that Prabhupada came here, but Krishna was always helping Prabhupada so that he can succeed in his mission. And when we see all this and all that, what I think is they are disguised, like like Hanumanji and his Sena. When Hanuman just forgot his power, right? When Jaman told him that yes, you can go up, somebody has to remind them. Somebody has to remind Hanumanji that yes, you can go to Lanka and come back. You has that power. He was forgotten. So I think these people are like Prabhupada Parshad who came to help him, right? And they were
Mm,
just even hippies and all that, but they were just decided. As soon as they met Prabhupada, they just left everything and they just came back to, Krishna consciousness. And and I think so. Krishna was always helping, and the people were already sitting there and waiting for Prabhupada. That's what I think.
mhm. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much. Yes, I was thinking about this chapter deeply, and I was thinking that these hippies, so called, uh, they were, even though they were taking drugs and Prabhupada was dealing with them, if I would have been at that place with dealing with so many people on the drugs, I would have run away from that place. I would not stay there for even one day. And Prabhupada is staying with them for months together, feeding them, looking after them, and they are not even in their consciousness. But Prabhupada has this, he takes this as an opportunity, and even though they were not in consciousness to listen properly, but Prabhupada found an audience, and Prabhupada never gave it up on them actually. He found a variety of ways to engage them, uh, giving them prasadam, taking them on Sankirtan, and taking them for like it was like a picnic thing for them, and coming them out and on the park and chanting Krishna's name. So, and giving them initiation without them even understanding what the initiation means, right? Some of them did not understand what a diksha means, what are the four regulative principles. But Prabhupada ji, somehow or other, uh, gave them is empowered them actually. And whatever we see Krishna consciousness movement at this time is because of this hippies actually. They are the one who went out of the way and spread this movement all across. And Prabhupada ji gave them this first experience of this going out and preaching was given to them by Srila Prabhupada in the Washington Square Park. And he encouraged them, you go out and express your Krishna consciousness. Krishna will help you. And that is how this Krishna consciousness spread all across the globe. If this hippies would not have been trained in that way, probably Krishna consciousness would have been limited to 26 Second Avenue, remaining the smaller event. So somehow or other, I think there is a divine intervention for sure. Krishna is, as Krishna Prabhupada says, that Krishna sent me money, man and money. And absolutely, this is a miracle actually, what we are seeing here with this LSD culture. People with LSD dependency are coming and talking to Srila Prabhupada and learning about chanting and staying high forever. And they are also experiencing that highness through chanting, uh, probably because it was coming from Srila Prabhupada. Otherwise, that would not have been happening. Prabhupada ji, as a purity is the force, they say, and Prabhupada ji had this purity. So Allen Ginsberg was attracted to Srila Prabhupada, and many people, many hippies got attracted. And in this chapter, there is a description of Tompkinson Square Park. We'll learn that. We'll talk about that in the next week because this is a bigger chapter. So maybe next week we'll be able to finish this. But what I'm seeing here is an opportunity which Srila Prabhupada never gave up, even though they were hippies. Even like when he was staying in the lower Bowery and David Allen, he was staying, there were also drug addicts there. David came and attacked Srila Prabhupada in the middle of the night. Prabhupada ran away and again came among the drug addicts. So somehow or other, Krishna arranged these drug addicts around Srila Prabhupada. This is drug culture. And like I would have definitely run away from that place. Not everyone would have been able to stay there for a week. Forget about months. But Prabhupada is staying among them, feeding them, being so patient. And one thing about with these drug addicts is that they don't take shower regularly. Their body is smelling. They have long hair. They have dirty clothes. They have not good habits actually. But Prabhupada ji converted them into the Vaishnavas. So that is a real, you can say a magic Srila Prabhupada did. If you really want to see a magic on the planet, then that is the magic Prabhupada did, is that converting those hundreds of hippies into happies. And we're going to talk more about it in coming chapters. But this is, I think, is the hallmark thing of Srila Prabhupada ji's. If Prabhupada ji would not have come to Lower Bowery, he would have not come to this 26 Second Avenue, probably ISKCON would not have been able to grow because those hippies were the revolutionary people. They are the one who gave up their families. They're by themselves. People who are attached to the family can never spread Krishna consciousness like that. Prabhupada gave up his family and came to America. Unless and until you give this family attachment, you can't spread Krishna consciousness. That is what here we are seeing is this. Hippies were already detached from everything. Only thing they had attached was the drugs, and that is what Srila Prabhupada replaced it with Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And then the magic happened. So I mean, this is really something which is beyond, like we are not able to understand in between the lines, what Satuswarup Das Goswami writing here. But there are so many events happening in the background of this. Prabhupada's mind set up at that time, how Prabhupada would feel in the night time when he's going to sleep, what will be the experience of those hippies. We just can't even imagine what's going in the background of these results. But it's really encouraging. If you really read this chapter and just think in between the lines that what would be happening at that time in Prabhupada's life, you can even feel a little bit of that. It's really amazing. Anyway, we'll pause here for today, and thank you everybody for joining. We'll continue our journey of Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita next Sunday. Today I forgot to post a message. Thank you, Sujata Mataji. I wanted to post it, but it just went out of my mind. But thank you for reminding me. Even if I don't post, please make sure I'll be there every Sunday, 8 o'clock. Only day I will miss is on the July 21st, no, July 20th actually, which is Sunday, where we have our Rath Yatra celebration here in Thunder Bay. So we got 2 day celebration, July 19 and 20. July 19th is Jagannath Rath Yatra, and July 20 is the Festival of Colors. So all of you are invited, Vidura Prabhu, Mamtaji, Venkata Prabhu, Sujata Mataji. If you can, please come and visit us and stay with us in Thunder Bay. Lots of devotees will come, and Bhakti Marg Swami is coming, Charu Prabhu from Utah is coming, and we have a beautiful drama, Age of Kali, being performed by Bhakti Marg Swami. And before that, I'm organizing festivals in two other cities, Sudbury and Sudbury. So 16th of July, we have festival in Sudbury. Then I will travel to Sudbury, then organize the festival there. Then I will travel to Sudbury, and then I will come to Thunder Bay, and then sure, Bhakti Marg Swami and other devotees will come here. So we'll have a beautiful festival. All of you can join us. Venkata Prabhu, you want to come?
No, so thank you.
No? Or
Thank you
yes?
for the explanation.
What is color of festival, Prabhuji?
Color festival is a holy festival.
Holy?
We do kirtan, color throw. Lots of people will come. Actually, we get about 6,000 people here for the color
Oh,
festival.
okay.
It was the largest color festival in Canada. Actually, it was.
Yeah.
It was on the Maclean magazine. So it's, so it's wonderful, wonderful. Vidura Prabhu, you're also invited. Mamta Mataji is invited. And
Thank
Thank you. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. We'll see you next Sunday.
Thank you.
Srila Prabhupada.
Thank you.